Good evening. I will call this City Council meeting of September 17th, 2024 to order. We acknowledge that this meeting is being held on the ancestral lands of the Coast Salish people and pay our respect to those past and present. Tonight, our invocation is provided by Pastor Josh Hubbard of Life Church. Pastor Hubbard is substituting for Pastor Sanchez, who had to reschedule. Thank you, Pastor Hubbard. If we could all please stand for the invocation.
Pastor Hubbard, you're muted. There we are. Thank you. Go ahead, Pastor Hubbard. Pastor Hubbard, we can still not hear you. We can see you and we can see that you are speaking, but we do not hear you.
He's still talking.
Do you want to just go back to the invocation and do the pledge first? Julie?
He's got the box lit now, so.
Yeah, the airports aren't connecting.
Pastor Hubbard, we're going to proceed with the Pledge of Allegiance since we can't hear you, and then we will come back to you and try once more.
All right, if you could all join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One more time, or?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, sorry about that. Well, God, we thank you so much for this evening. Lord, we pray that you would protect and guard all those who are present. Lord, that you would give wisdom to those who are sitting on our city council for all of the proceedings this evening. We thank you so much. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Tonight's meeting is being streamed live on YouTube, Facebook, and broadcast following the meeting on cable channel 10 HD 1090. Attendees are participating in person via teleconference. Guests that are included in staff presentations will be excused at the conclusion of the agenda item as appropriate. Roll call is next, but everyone is present and accounted for. Councilmember Wiesner is participating via remotely, so we're all good. With that, we'll move on to approval of agenda. Are there any suggested changes to the agenda as it's presented? All right. We'll move on then to public comment period. Members of the public may comment on consent agenda items or subjects of interest not listed on the agenda at this time. Residents will have the opportunity to comment on the remaining agenda items during the meeting as appropriate. Members of the public can also visit our website prior to our meetings for methods to submit public comment or contact the city clerk, Julie Nestor, by phone or email. When submitting comments, please include your name and address. Public comments sent anonymously will be shared with the mayor and council but will not be displayed. Any new public comments received since our last regular meeting are displayed here. Great, thanks, Julie. Are there any members of the public present who wish to speak to items not listed on the agenda or on the consent agenda? If so, the clerk will call your name in the order in which you signed in to speak. Please step forward to the microphone and state your name and address. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. First who signed up is Christina Kroll.
Hi, my name is Christina Kroll, 90 East Green Valley Road in Oak Harbor here. I moved here in 1983 when I was 5 years old. With the exception of 20 years away after joining the military, this has always been my home. Even when I was away, this was my home. I kept up with everything that was happening, and I love this place. So much so that in 2018, I decided with my family to move back here and call this home once again. What I hate is that what this so-called mayor has done to our city. He hired his own team of people to give himself a pay raise. And to me, that is absolutely just appalling. Every person in this town should be absolutely upset that it was completely bypassed, and that there was no knowledge of it whatsoever. The only time that it was found out was after the objection period was, had passed, in which it could be objected. That's, to me, about as shady as it gets. And to try to silence our council, sorry, I just had dentist work, so my mouth is still a little. To try to silence our council, the only people who've been truly honest, Ronnie is not honest. He's a liar, only trying to further his own agenda, to tear the city apart and burn it down. The city, because of the council, has turned around in such huge ways. And I know some will dredge up the past, but remember that was the previous council. They should not be judged because past council members and things that had happened. The thing I find extremely interesting when I see pictures and videos of events in the city is that I see council members. I don't see the mayor. I don't see him at events. I don't see him in pictures. But I do see the council. I see them out at events. I see them interacting with the public, and not just during events, but I see them out there. I see them engaging. They have always been extremely forthcoming, and I know what to expect. But the same can't be said about the mayor. I can't tell you one thing that the mayor has done for this community. It would be a shame for this community to lose any of our council members because of personal vendettas and trying to silence them. What happened is so-called freedom of speech. I've only heard council members speak truths, and that should never be silenced. Lies, however, should be silenced, as to not create division in this community that I absolutely love and would not hesitate to ever come back to if I had to leave again. And if you don't question the lies, you're part of the problem. I really feel like we need...
Sorry, but your time is up.
Okay.
Thank you for your comment, Ms. Kroll.
Mayor, next on our list is Nicole Tesh.
Should have brought my glasses. Nicole Tesh, 847 Southwest Fairhaven Drive. I'm a mom of 5 children. I brought 2 here with me tonight that attend 4 different schools in our district, and I also serve as the director for the Oak Harbor School Board, and I have extensive background with municipal code thanks to Island County Commissioner's Office, City of Oak Harbor, and the City of Anacortes, and I'm here to talk to you tonight as a parent in regards to some derelict vehicles that are sitting outside of our schools. One of the vehicles is sitting right in the eye line of the parking lot of parent drop-off and pickup over at Northaby Middle School. There's actually 2 vehicles. So I have a letter that I have addressed to the council members. I will also send you photographs. citing the different parts of the code that these vehicles are in violation of. Section 1012-090, the vehicle obstructs view. And I know this because I almost hit a child in a crosswalk because I didn't see them because of the RV parked in the way when I dropped off one of my kiddos. It's in violation of 1012-092, stopping, standing, and parking in prohibited specific places that is within the safety zone as defined. It is within 15 feet of a fire hydrant, within 20 feet of a crosswalk, within 30 feet of a school flashing signal. It has not been moved in over 6 months. One of the vehicle's tabs expires this month. The other vehicle over on 4th Street has expired tabs. So I have that identified here, but I also wanted to talk to you about that this highlights the need to establish parking zones in streets adjacent to schools to ensure safety and smooth flow of traffic. A similar measure has been taken into place over at Oak Harbor High School that has been extremely effective, and it will kind of reduce the impact of these derelict vehicles being in the eye line of parents who are picking up and dropping off kids during school hours. So to help you guys out, because I used to do this as a job here, I actually rewrote the code, the entire parking code, with my track changes to assist in the process, as well as pictures included that will make it a little bit handy. And I did find a few things that need to be edited as well that are no longer current because the roads' names have been changed. So I was happy to do the work and get back into the city of Oak Harbor stuff. But moral of the story here is this needs to be changed for our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tesh.
Mayor, next on our list is Rachel Oswalt.
My name is Rachel Oswalt, 4399 Northgate Drive outside of Oak Harbor city limits. What a privilege it is to live in a community where people feel like they have a voice. And at the same time, how disheartening is it that some of those people feel that in order to have a voice, they have to hide behind the mask of anonymity. When I started my military mental health movement back in 2019, it started with a petition. Out of that petition, many people came forward to me anonymously to share the stories they were afraid to share publicly, sometimes for decades of their life. I'm a huge believer in people having a voice. A few weeks ago, a letter to the editor was posted on the City of Oak Harbor's website with comments from Salary Commission Chairperson Tiffany Scribner, has since been archived. There are a few words in that letter that didn't quite sit right with me. Specifically, the sentence where she refers to people using their voice as cowards on social media, hiding behind the cloak of anonymity. Me being up here tonight isn't about the subject matter of that letter, nor any of the events that led up to that letter. It's simply a reminder that people deserve to have a voice, whether they choose to be anonymous or not. So I think the question the City of Oak Harbor should be asking is, why do people feel that in order to have a voice, they need to be anonymous? Seek first to understand, not to be understood.
Thank you, Ms. Oswald.
Mayor, next on our list is Lucas Smith.
Hello, I'm Lucas Smith. I am a senior at Oak Harbor High School, and I am here today speaking on behalf of would-be royalty and the Mr. Oak Harbor Council. Today, I'm here to give this check to City Council because this past year we spent our year fundraising for this project, which was creating a community rec center here in Oak Harbor. And we did 3 fundraisers in total this past year. We did one with Mod Pizza, just down there. People bought pizza, and if they entered a code with our code, we would get money from that. Yes. And the second one being a Pioneer Way pageant for kids that aren't able to compete in the Miss Oak Harbor or Mr. Oak Harbor competitions, but just to get them involved. And there were kids I couldn't be older than like 2 all the way up to 8th graders, and that was also really cool. We had one just this past August, Battle of the Bands. I wasn't able to be at that one, sadly, but I wish I was. We called in a bunch of local talent on island, and they just kind of showed what they got. And I don't know what else to say besides I hope this check goes to helping complete that goal of creating a community rec center here in Oak Harbor. I don't know who to give the check to, but
Thank you, Mr. Smith.
thank
Yes.
you.
Mayor, that concludes those who had signed up in advance to speak.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else present that didn't sign up that would like to speak tonight? I would now welcome you to step forward and speak. All right, hearing none, we will move forward then and move on to, give me 1 second. Consent agenda. Staff has presented the listed consent agenda items, all of which were included in the meeting packet. Are there any objections or changes to the consent agenda as presented? All right, hearing none, the consent agenda is approved as presented. And we will move forward with mayor's comments. First being special council workshop last week. Last week, our city council held a special workshop meeting, the purpose of which was to tour the Oak Harbor Marina, followed by lunch and a discussion of the needs of the marina, including necessary infrastructure maintenance and improvements to the docks, fuel dock, and breakwater, electrical needs, and dredging of both the marina and the channel leading into Oak Bay. Staff reviewed these needs and potential options, all of which will be included in information for a marina open house tomorrow night. Marina Public Open House. The city will hold a public open house for presenting options for the future of the Oak Harbor Marina on Wednesday, September 18th, 2024, from 6 to 7:30 p.m. here in City Hall Council Chambers. Staff and consultants will give a presentation and provide information about the marina, operational needs, and funding challenges. The Oak Harbor Marina 50th anniversary. The Oak Harbor Marina celebrates 50 years of operation. Please join us at the marina on Saturday, September 21st from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. for food, games, entertainment, a scavenger hunt, and marina tours. The address there is 1401 Southeast Catalina Drive. Say farewell to summer with the Washington State Ferries. The state ferry system begins their next round of virtual public meetings Tuesday, September 24th at 12 noon and Wednesday, September 25th at 6 p.m. Prior registration is required for these virtual Zoom meetings. Each meeting will cover the same material. Meeting participants will be able to ask questions and provide comments ahead of time. After the meetings, video recordings will be available online on WSF's community participation page. And there is a link that is on the screen at the bottom. And I'm not going to read that entire link out loud because there's a lot of numbers and letters and dashes in there. So, QR code, sorry. City Comprehensive Plan Survey continues. Your survey responses will allow our team to plan for the next 10 years by learning what's important to you and what you value in our community. The community vision and input are very important to shaping a resilient, sustainable future for Oak Harbor. You may scan the QR code to take the short survey or log on to the city website. Advisory boards and commissions. The city has openings on several of our advisory boards and commissions, shown here on the screen. Please see our website to apply. The city appreciates your service. Still hiring. The city has openings for employment in several areas. See our website for a complete listing. Local events. There are several terrific events happening in our area, many of which are displayed on the screen here. All right, that's all I've got, so now I will turn it over to council for any comments that they may have at this time. Councilmember Hoffmeyer.
Alrighty. I'm providing my remarks from the podium this evening to underscore the gravity of the situation and emphasize my commitment to direct communication, Mayor. The state of affairs you have created at City Hall has become increasingly concerning, prompting significant worry among our constituents who feel their voices are not being heard. I'll pause to emphasize a few key comments amidst the hundreds I've seen publicly online regarding the mayor's huge pay raise. Melinda Buchanan, Oak Harbor Police Community Advisory Board. This is money that could be put into other things that could benefit our city. This is wrong and should not be allowed to be left to the mayor and his commission to decide. This should be a city vote. Elaine Gore, Oak Harbor Planning Commission. I believe Mayor Wright's action to raise his salary have been underhanded and probably were determined by him in advance of his election. I did not vote for him because he campaigned on the thousands of people he had supervised, clearly misunderstanding the job of mayor. It is a PR position, not a managerial one. That's why we have an administrative officer paid as a full-time employee to supervise city workers. I'd ask that we consider recalling him in addition to the salary commission correcting their mistake. No person's salary should be raised by a group appointed by that person. Outrageous. Clark Sewell, recently retired Oak Harbor Police Department. We, the citizens, need better transparency, and this process needs done correctly. These individuals can be characterized as exceptionally informed and invested, surpassing the average citizen in these regards. Their authentic concern for ongoing developments is palpable, and they chose to forego online anonymity, showing their dedication to accountability. The community is insisting on being acknowledged, and the administration's choices risk creating a permanent erosion of trust. I wish to address another concern, namely the recent newspaper article titled, "Oak Harbor Mayor Has a Transparency Problem." The information presented in this article is both disturbing and accurate, and I, as a council member, will not be silenced. This administration's decision to utilize a taxpayer-funded city website to denigrate constituents, lambaste an elected official, and question local journalists represents a critical juncture necessitating decisive action from this city council. Effective policy parameters, including Councilor Stuckey's proposal to give the council control over the mayor's salary instead of a salary commission, and Mayor Pro Tem Heisen's proposal to put a council manager government structure before voters, are vital. Additionally, establishing a policy against using tax dollars for disparagement is imperative. Council's silence, or simply going along to get along, is no longer acceptable in the face of these egregious exploitations of public dollars and trust. Tonight, the mayor will present a misleading narrative, but let's stay focused on our community's needs. We must rise above the distractions, false allegations, and finger-pointing, and instead work together to address the real issues that require our collective attention. Thank you.
Anyone else from council have anything that they would like to add?
Councilmember.
Councilmember Wiesner.
Yes, Mayor, and thank you, Julie. Yeah, I don't have anything quite as heavy as that. I know there's going to be some ongoing discussion. So I just wanted to back up some of the mayor's comments involving the marina and focus a little bit on the city business here for a minute. The marina obviously is a jewel to our city, and we invite the public down for this open house this weekend. It's important for the public to understand that over the 50 years existence of that marina, no taxpayer dollars have gone into that marina. The marina has been self-supporting, and quite frankly, it's time for the community to look at that more as a community asset versus just a place that some people park some boats. I guess I would just say imagine Oak Harbor without a marina, and what our waterfront would look like and feel like. And so I think we as a city are going to do more and more to try and engage folks and have them be more involved in the marina and get more of the community out to enjoy that beautiful asset we have and do as much as we can to get that feedback from the community is what they want us to do with this marina moving forward, because it is going to have to be a community project. It's not going to be a project that's going to be able to be taken on the backs of the folks down there mooring their boats. And so I just want to quite frankly say that this is going to be one of the biggest projects that we're going to be taking on as a community and as a city in the next 10 or 15 years. And it's really going to, lay the groundwork for that connection that we've been talking about between our marina and our downtown, and getting the community more involved and making it more of a place for the community to go. So also, I just wanted to thank the people who came out with the public comments tonight, to take time out of your evening and come down here and show up in person to make the public comments. So appreciated. Nikki, thanks for coming, and thanks for all you do for the school district. And more importantly, thanks for bringing your children down with you and getting them engaged in this process. I certainly look forward to a day when I see one of them sitting up here at the dais. So thank you for that. And finally, would-be royalty. I mean, what more can I say? I did not make the ribbon cutting for them at the Chamber of Commerce. It was actually an event I really wanted to make, just because you get it. These kids went out and raised money for our community center, right? And the work that River Powers and that team have done with that royalty team is just invaluable to our community. And thanks so much for not only coming to us and talking us and getting us motivated on the community center, but putting your money where your mouth is, right? And I think that should be recognized. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, Councilmember Wiesner. Yes, Councilmember Arms.
Thank you all for your comments. We appreciate them. I also want to talk about the marina. It was a great event. We were happy to have the community liaison from Rick Larson's office there. He spent the whole day with us. He was at the workshop, and I think that's really important for them to understand what's going on with the marina. It was informative, and I think it's everybody that can come out tomorrow night should come out so they really see what's going on, and hopefully everybody will be down at the marina on Saturday to really get a bird's eye view of what's going on. And like Councilmember Wiesner said, it's really important that we keep our marina and that it is an asset to our city. And thank you again for all you being here.
Thank you, Councilmember Arms. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a procedural point for future reference, and I'm just one voice of 7, but if a council person wants to speak as a member of the public, they should do so, in my opinion, during the public comment period. And if they're going to speak as a council person, they should do so during the council comment period. So it's not something that I'm not sure has ever happened before, but in future, my personal preference would be for the expectation to pick one or the other. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anybody? Yes, Councilmember Stuckey.
Just want to take a moment to thank Nikki Tesh for coming out. I always say to folks that are on social media, take that next step. And when you go through proper channels, things normally get addressed and taken care of. And I saw Chief over there judiciously writing notes. So I have no doubt things will get looked into in the future. So thank you. And thanks for rewriting that for us. We'll take a look.
Thank you, Councilmember Stuckey. Councilmember Wittgenstein.
Just want to give a little bit of an update with the Art Commission meeting last week. We met with the Framework, who is the consultants down working on the art plan and helping with that. They were in town over the Military Appreciation Weekend as well, and got some good insight and good focus going forward, and a lot of the exciting things I hope coming up to help with the art in Oak Harbor and what that looks like. And then just remember, art isn't just a painting. Art's music, art's acting, art's, it's the arts itself. So really enjoy being on that commission and working with those folks, and I just want to give that acknowledgement out, let that know that good work's being done.
Thank you, Councilmember Wittgenstein. Councilmember Marshall.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't going to say anything, but I feel prompted to now. I think it's important as council members, if we're going to take the public comment and use that to try to disparage somebody on this council or on this dais, that we do our due diligence in informing them of how the process works. We have a city code when it comes to our salary commission. That salary commission is the one that identifies how much we all get paid, not just the mayor, but all of us. And so if you want to do your job informing people, then inform them how the process works. Inform them what the code is. Inform them to let them know that this process is over with and it is not going to be reevaluated at this point because it's been decided. And we're just continuing to inflame this issue and make it bigger than what it needs to be. It's over. It needs to be over. And that's the information that needs to be presented. You know, it was mentioned that an article was written about the transparency. That was not an article. It very clearly was identified as an opinion piece, and an opinion piece is not a news article. And so let's identify it for what it is. It's opinion. And that's one person's opinion, and they're entitled to their opinion. I happen to disagree with that opinion because half of that information was incorrect. They made it sound as if the mayor reached out to all of us individually with the exception of one council member. That's not how that went down. All council members reached out to the mayor to question that decision. As we did our job, we did what we're supposed to do as council members. We asked questions, we reached out, we went to the source. So for them to make it out as if it was something nefarious or other than what it actually was is irresponsible on their part. And so I am not trying to silence anybody. We've said time and time again, the discourse on social media is divisive. It was disgusting what I saw online on social media this last weekend. And I will not support it. I mean, I just will never support that kind of badgering of citizens and of the members of this council or the mayor. It's not helpful. If you want to be helpful, you want to be informative, then be accurate with your information and be informative. Don't try to divide.
Thank you, Councilmember Marshall. Councilmember Stuckey.
Not to cause an argument, but just to be clear, I was contacted by the mayor. I did not call the mayor to ask for that meeting. So at least for me personally, I was contacted by the mayor to meet with them.
Anybody else? Councilmember Wiesner, you have anything? All right. And hearing nothing else, we're going to move forward with contracts and agreements. And the first up is Northwest Clean Air Agency Agreement. Here to introduce that is our Public Works Director, Steve Schuler.
All right, we'll just wait to get the slides up here. Very good, thank you, Tim. All right, tonight we're here to talk about a proposed agreement between the city and the Northwest Clean Air Agency. I'll briefly go over some of the key items that are in the agreement that's in your packet. And then we're very happy to have here tonight in person Mark Buford, who's the executive director with the agency. And so after I speak, I'll ask Mr. Buford to come up and kind of talk more about the mission of his agency since he's here, and just talk more in broad terms about what their air monitoring system is about and give us all some insight. And then I'm very excited because Mayor Pro Tem Heisen not only serves as council member, but she's also the representative for the city of Oak Harbor on the board. And as addition to being on the board, she was also elected as vice chair on the board of the Northwest Clean Air Agency. So we'd love to hear from you also. The agreement is fairly straightforward. It's a one-year term subject to auto renewal. It's an annual fee of $1,200. The goal of that is really to be revenue neutral. We're not trying to make money off of this, or are we trying to lose money? We're really trying to just figure out a way to make this revenue neutral. The city pays the monthly electrical utility bill, and then there will be some initial costs. Mr. Buford's staff and my staff went out and took a place where this could go on the municipal shop site that would not be interfered either with other buildings or our backup generators and that sort of thing. So we found a spot that did in the past have power to it. It no longer has power, that had been removed, but it's in the street, so it'll cost about $5,100 to bring that power back in through those conduits and re-energize the system. And so that is the city's, and we would hang on to that, and that would be ours. We would keep that energized. And so we would go ahead and do that work, and then that would be reimbursed by the agency. And so that is the key parts of the agreement. And so now I'd just like to ask Mr. Buford to give us some information.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, members of the council. My name is Mark Buford. I'm the Executive Director of the Northwest Clean Air Agency, which is the local clean air agency for Island, Skagit, and Whatcom counties in Washington. And in Washington, there are 7 local clean air agencies, and they're based on county lines. About 90% of the population of Washington lives in the jurisdiction of a local clean air agency. And where one exists, almost all of EPA's authority and almost all of the State Department of Ecology's authority is delegated to us. So we implement the Federal Clean Air Act and the State Clean Air Act. And as part of that work, we're responsible for monitoring air quality. We have about 8 stations throughout our jurisdiction where we measure air quality. We've had one at Oak Harbor Intermediate School for decades. And what has happened in that time is that the equipment has evolved. It's more sensitive now to its environment. So we need, in this new generation of equipment, to have better control over the temperature and humidity of the space where the equipment is. So we're using a small trailer about the size of a small U-Haul trailer that you might see pulled behind a car. It's about 2 parking spaces, maybe a little less in size, about 8 feet wide, about 10 feet long, the box part of it. And what we have before you today is an agreement to site that at Public Works, as we have described. And we are grateful for your consideration and grateful for the opportunity to be your clean air agency. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Great. I will confirm no public comments have been received on this issue.
That's correct, Mayor. No comments were received.
All right. I would request any additional public comments from those gathered here today. If anyone has any, would like to step forward and ask those at this time. All right. Hearing none, I'll call upon council for... Oh, I'm so sorry. So sorry. Didn't see you, didn't you?
I literally ran.
Sorry.
Give me a second.
So sorry.
Mr. Buford, I would just like some clarity about what animal...
Could you just state your name and address for me, please,
Hi,
for the record?
my name is Dinty Joe Musk Jr. I live at 45 Northeast Noonan Loop in Oak Harbor. And, sorry, sometimes I forget things like my address when I'm a little bit nervous. I'm also a chemist by trade, and so I'm interested in the differences between the old station and the new. Are you monitoring for different analytes than you were before? And why the need for the new station? Is there a need for increased sensitivity compared to the previous generation?
Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I sense a kindred spirit. We could talk about air quality monitors all day, and I would enjoy it. The monitor we have at the intermediate school is a nephelometer. This one is a beta attenuation monitor. It's just a different technique. They measure the same thing. They measure particulate, which is smoke. And the greater sensitivity of this new monitor not only gives us better data day to day, it's also more reliable. It's also the same kind of monitor we have at our other stations, which means our spare parts, we don't have to have as many different kinds of spare parts. So it's a cost savings to have that. Ultimately, it's going to benefit us in not only from a practical matter of forecasting wildfire smoke.
Great, thank you. Dinty, thank you for your question. Sorry I didn't see you. Are there any other comments or questions from those gathered here with us this evening that they would like to ask on this topic? Please step forward. All right, now hearing none, we'll call upon council for their questions and comments. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Wright. Thank you, Mayor. Mark, it was really fun to see you geek out just now on the air quality monitoring station. One of the other advantages to moving it is that previously it was on school property, like in the attic at Ojai, and so access was difficult if it needed to be repaired on a weekend or an evening, something like that. Having it at a city property where we can get to it anytime we need to is definitely an advantage. And I just want to remind everybody that, this time of year especially, it's pertinent. The Northwest Clean Air Agency has a really robust website when it comes to clean air monitoring. It's northwestcleanairwa.gov, nwcleanairwa.gov. And like I said, you can go to that website anytime, you can check, it gives you details. All of these monitoring stations that are all across the state allows the agency to not only monitor, but as Mark mentioned, actually forecast and predict during wildfire season, which is just, it's really been fascinating. It's been a learning experience. So I'm definitely in support of this monitoring station out at the city property, and I'm looking forward to see what we can do with the new technology.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Anyone else from council with questions or comments? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion. Okay, Mayor Pro Tem.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign a license agreement with the Northwest Clean Air Agency for location and operation of a mobile air quality monitoring station trailer at the city's municipal shops property, 1400 Northeast 16th Avenue.
Second.
We have a motion as presented by Mayor Pro Tem, seconded by Councilmember Hoffmeyer. Is there any additional discussion on this issue before I call for a vote? All right, hearing none. All in favor, raise your right hand. I can't, there he is. Okay, it passes unanimously. So thank you very much for your presentation. All right, moving right along, the next item on the agenda is Department of Commerce Secure Store, Track, and Return Relinquished Firearms Grant Application. And here to talk to us tonight about that is our Police Chief, Tony Slowick, as well as our Grants Administrator, Wendy Horn.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Chief Slowick. And like Mayor said, I'm here to talk about a grant opportunity for firearms storage, secure storage, tracking, and returning for the Department of Commerce. This is a short window for a grant, and the grant initially closed earlier in the month, but was extended to September 22nd is when the grant needs to be submitted. So a little history is that the Washington state laws have been enacted by legislation resulting in the firearm relinquishment either through court orders or pursuant to lawful arrests. So when we talk about lawful arrests, we're talking about typically domestic violence arrests. Court orders could be extreme risk protection orders. Protection orders or different things like that. There's like 22 different court orders. This results in an increased number of firearms that are stored at the police department, including ammunition. And currently, the police department's infrastructure has exceeded capacity for this storage. So the grant through the Department of Commerce is for $1 million. There is no match for the grant. The grant is due on September 22nd. The grant is to establish the establishment for the secure store, track firearms due to impacts by Washington state law, and funding to jurisdictions that demonstrate the need. And so our need is that we currently have a system that is exceeded capacity. What we're looking at doing is expanding that system, increasing our access control, moving some alarm and monitoring, increasing our surveillance, and it needs to be in climate control placement. So these are all things that the grant allows. So currently, in 2019, we identified a firearms storage facility at the police department. It's about 27 square feet. It is a small room in our evidence storage. It's designed to hold about 75 rifles and 60 handguns. Currently, we have over 300 firearms that are currently in evidence. Over 70% of those are relinquished firearms that are surrenders due to court orders, those type of things. That's not criminal investigation. So 30% is criminal investigation, 70% is relinquishment. Additionally, we have large quantities of ammunition as well. We don't have safe storage for the ammunition. So it's not uncommon that people may have 10 firearms or more that they have to relinquish during these terms. And the department receives requests each month to accept and destroy firearms as well that citizens no longer want. So often, if you get a firearm that's turned in for destruction, we then need to store that firearm until we can go through a destruction process, which typically maybe happens once a year. So what we're looking for is to approve or authorize the mayor to sign this grant. We'll be submitting our packet for modifying our current space in our evidence in our jail. Since we decommissioned our jail in 2020, we do have some space that we think that we can reutilize. We can change our firearm storage from a 27 square foot space to a 167 square foot space by reutilizing some of our rooms. To do that would mean that we need to update our pass-through evidence storage, move our alarm and monitoring and some surveillance, and then also do some cutting into one of our walls that is currently a record storage area. And so with that, we think the grant package is $100,000 that we'll be asking for. That includes an engineering cost in there. That includes the installation and pass-through lockers, purchasing that, the new gate for access control, modifying our alarms, and also our camera system. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions, and this is the recommended motion. I will say that in the agenda packet, we do have in there a 8x8. That was the initial idea, that we would just add on to the building with an 8x8 unit. Since we have been going through this process, we learned that that would cost over $200,000 and would not be feasible. So.
Great. So, Julie, I would just like to confirm that we received no public comment on this issue.
That's correct, Mayor. No public comments were received.
Great. And I would just like to request any additional public comments from those gathered here this evening. If you have some, would you please step forward? All right, hearing none. Before I turn it over to council, did you elaborate, roughly, when we were talking, what's the average length of time that we're holding on to these things in custody that's creating the backlog for you guys in the storage?
So the time determines, it all determine it based off of the proceedings. I will say that currently we have several people who have their firearms that have been suspended for like a 2-year period based off of court orders, but then can get their firearms back. We have people that are going through either mental health or different concerns that citizens or family members have been able to apply for court orders, which get their firearms taken away because there's concerns there. So some of these firearms we're holding on for multiple years. The criminal cases, usually it's a 2 or 3 year period. So, we're looking at a several year period that just keeps on adding up.
Great, thank you. All right, at this time, I would call upon council for any questions or comments that they have. Yes, Councilmember Hoffmeyer.
I move to authorize the mayor to sign the application for the Washington State Department of Commerce Secure Store Track and Return Relinquished Firearms Grant.
Second.
All right, we have a motion as presented by Councilmember Hoffmeyer, seconded by Councilmember Wiggenstein. Before I call for a vote, is there any further discussion on this issue? I can't see Councilmember Wiesner. He's good? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. All right, passes unanimously. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, the council will enter an executive session to discuss with legal counsel litigation or potential litigation per RCW 4230-110-1I. The anticipated duration of the executive session is 15 minutes. Action may or may not be taken upon return to the open session. Executive sessions are not open to the public. If an extension of time is needed, we will let Julie know and she will announce it.
Mayor, I have a question for Hillary.
Sure.
Hillary, are you on?
Always listening. How can I help?
Hey, so my assessment here is paragraph F of this RCW would be way more germane to the subject of these false allegations, et cetera. I do not have a transparent.
Wait, we are talking about 2 lawsuits.
Gotcha. So we're on a different one then. Gotcha. Okay.
So it is currently 6:39. The council has announced that they will extend the executive session for an additional 15 minutes to 6:54 PM. The council has announced that they will extend the executive session for an additional 5 minutes to 6:59 PM. The council am I on? The council has announced that they will extend the executive session an additional 10 minutes to 7:09 PM. The council has announced that they will extend the executive session an additional 5 minutes to 7:14 PM.
The council has come out of executive session, and we are back in open session of the meeting. There will be no further action taken on the matter discussed in executive session. Therefore, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Passes.